So former New York Knicks Channing Frye has sat down and gave some very interesting stories about Coach Larry Brown, especially in that first season without Allen Houston. The team went 23-59, and after one season, Larry Brown was out of there. Low-key, this team had a lot of good talent on it. Nate Robinson, Q Richardson, Steve Francis, Eddie Curry, David Lee, Matt Barnes, and Stephon Marbury. The Knicks for a second did believe they made the right move because Larry Brown just a year prior was coming off of winning a championship, defeating Kobe Bryant and Shaq. But the situation grew so bad that even after Larry Brown left the team, James Dolan actually refused to pay him the rest of his money. They had to come to a settlement. And you know shit is bad when James Dolan is not willing to pay you. I mean, even the current commissioner at the time, David Stern, had to step in order for that settlement to happen. But Larry Brown in that 05-06 season kind of fell into a tier of coaches that was transitioning culturally away from the league. Star players were actually gaining more power within the organizations, and that's where we start to see more of the clashes within that generation. The Jerry Salones, the George Karl, they reached a tipping point for the way stars were being catered to. And Channing Frye had a lot of interesting stories about that level of control that those coaches were used to. You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
The relationship people had with Isaiah was great because Isaiah was like, here's what I want for you, and I know that you want this for yourself. The problem was Larry Brown. We had Larry Brown. We had the most starting lineups. Look that up. Larry, at some point during the season, was getting guys from the G League weekly. So we didn't know who was our teammates. Dude, I promise to God, we didn't know who was starting the basketball game until 40 minutes when he would write it on the board. Then he came up with something. And remember, I played 14 years. I have never, and probably will never see this again. He would say, if you're from this city, you can start. Or if you went to college here. So we'd get a dude off the airplane. Ime Udoka, ask him. He was on our team.
Ime played 8 games.
Ime, yeah. But Ime came off. He was like, dude, you're great, son. Here, go start. You're like, start? Man, then there was a story, and I'll tell you this story quick. Him and Stephon, boom, came to a clash.
Now right here is that same exact clash I was describing. It's the same clash Melo had with George Karl, De'Aaron Williams had with Jerry Salone out in Utah, and of course, Larry Brown had it before with Allen Iverson down in Philly. But the NBA at the time was at an inflection point where the head coaches, they were once the lieutenant of these teams. And by the time Allen Iverson had his rise in Philly, that's where that same inflection point began to intersect. And the players started having more power than the head coaches within these organizations. What actually added more fuel to it was when LeBron got drafted. If you look at most rookies going forward, they instantly got the keys to these franchises once they were drafted. Kobe Bryant coming into the league just a few years earlier than LeBron. He had to kind of bend the knee to the coach and come off the bench. It's crazy how in that very short time span, the league shifted so much. I believe it was only 6-year difference. But that very same shift is what Larry Brown was trying to get accustomed to, and coaches like him were fighting it.
The first month, if you look at Steph's, I'll never forget it. I was like, yo, Stephon Marbury is the real deal. Because I think the first month of the season, he was averaging like 25, 6, and 4. It was something crazy, right? You can look that up, stat guy. So all of a sudden, something happened where Larry was like, you're not doing anything right. Steph was like, whoa, what? Like, I'm out here hooping. Like, we're good. And he goes, nah, I'm going to make Jamal Crawford a point guard, like a guard. And Jamal's like, what? I'm a scoring guard. Like, I'm not a point guard. So all of a sudden in practice, he's like, you're doing that wrong. You're doing this wrong. And it came to a head for Steph in a film session, which we had to call the NBA on him twice because we had 3-hour film sessions before a 3.5-hour practice.
Damn, did I hear that right? The players had to call the NBA on their coach? What the fuck?
Didn't run up and down twice. Now, that is no ask David Lee, ask anybody from that team. That was crazy.
Whoa. Let's Let's hear that one more time because it doesn't even sound right when you first hear it. A 3-hour practice with no movement?
Which we had to call the NBA on him twice because we had 3-hour film sessions before a 3.5-hour practice where we didn't run up and down twice. Now, that is no ask David Lee, ask anybody from that team. That was crazy. We'd stand there and he would redo plays from other teams and just call our plays what their plays were. Say, we need to do that. Like, didn't we just learn a different play yesterday? But we were going over the jump ball, and Steph was like, yo, man, we're 10 games into the season. We know how to do a jump ball. And I remember Larry Brown goes, hey, if you've been past the first round, raise your hand in front of everyone. And after that, Steph and Larry, it was a wrap after that. And Malik Rose was like chanting, this is not what the NBA is like. This is a circus. You were like, you're supposed to know your role, your starter, your sitting, how many minutes you're playing. If you do well, you understand. And it was a lot.
It's very unfortunate because this is one of the learning lessons James Dolan had with just hiring names. One of the many. Because the same issue ended up playing out with Phil Jackson. The management not fitting in with the player personnel. That continuously became a clash during his era. The Knicks, once again, they were at a transition point in that very same season when Allen Houston prematurely had to retire. Now the team was still able to grab the headlines by hiring a coach that in just 2 seasons before won the NBA title against a dominant duo like Shaq and Kobe. It's the same way the Knicks were struggling at a point during Melo's reign where Dolan grabbed the headlines by hiring Phil Jackson as team president. That's the beautiful thing about the Leon Rose hire. It's almost like he sequenced everyone to be on the same page, from the front office to the coaching staff to the player personnel. It was one culture and everyone being on the same page. Carmelo Anthony kind of alluded to the Knicks being out of sync in different levels within the organization when Mike D'Antoni left the team and Mike Woodson took over.
It was a lot with all those personalities.
Just so the audience can play along here. Marbury, Jamal Crawford, Jalen Rose, Stevie Francis, Quentin Richardson, Eddie Curry, Nate Robinson, Antonio Davis, who's one of my all-time favorite dudes.
He was the best.
He must have hated that year, knowing him.
Oh, he would leave. He would just be like, yo, coach, I'm going to go see my family in Indiana. I'll be back tomorrow. And coach is like, huh? He goes, yep, see you tomorrow. And would dip. And because he's such an OG, hey,
yeah.
Do you remember he went into the stands? He was talking to me. He was talking to me. He was like, Channy, he goes, hey, hold on, young blood. Boop, 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 boop. Went up there and started pointing. I said, oh boy, that's it for this season. Oh boy.
Quintel Woods, Trevor Ariza, who was like good. Yeah. You were kind of like, hey, wait a minute. They might have something here. Mo Taylor. Penny played 4 games that year. David Lee, Matt Barnes, who is another one of my favorite go-tos. Malik.
It goes to show you, Isaiah Thomas, in a way, he has an eye for good talent, is that they couldn't just piece everything together in a uniformed way.
Rose, Ime, Jackie Butler.
Jackie Butler, dude, was built like a tree stump. That dude was so country.
He played a lot, too.
A lot, because he could score the crap out of that ball. Jackie Butler, God, I wonder what he's doing. We're a circus. There were some personalities.
I love that roster. I love that roster.
Some dogs, some good dudes, and like you were just like, if this would have actually worked out somehow, that team would have been a 30 for 30. We had the highest payroll in the NBA. And then we had 3 first-round picks. So you have like developing these guys, but playing these guys with a coach that's like, I want to get new players all the time. He's like, Trevor, I'm going to trade you. Matt Barnes, I'm going to trade you. Quintel Woods, I'm going to trade you. Give me Ime, give me Jackie, give me this. So you're like, who are you playing? Like, for what reason? There was no continuity of like what we were trying to accomplish. And then 2 years later, I ended up getting traded to Portland for Zach Randolph. So, I mean, it's just like, yeah, guys weren't bought in, but you can't have the highest payroll in the NBA in lottery picks. Especially if they're not specific of like what their role is.
And then you're in the midst of like a 23-win season. I think it's 6 coaches. I mean, if you count Herb Williams being an interim,
Bigger?
So sometimes it's not fair when you're like, yeah, but it's Lenny, it's Don Chaney, it's Larry Brown, and then it's like, Larry, you got to get him out of here. And then Isaiah was putting the roster together. It's like, now you go coach it because ownership's mad. And it was it's a lot.
From the looks of it, it seems like Larry Brown was not satisfied with the kind of chemistry the roster had that Isaiah Thomas put together. Looking back at it now, it makes sense why Van Gundy said he wouldn't coach the Knicks unless he had full control of the roster. But yeah, those days sound like a mess for the Knicks. A lot of interesting characters on that team. I would say Stephon Marbury was one of the first players that fell victim to the player empowerment. It was almost like he was a few years a little bit too early on that, but definitely played a pivotal part in that movement. Again, the league was at that inflection point where the star players' powers actually was on the same level as the head coaches. And now today we see them both interact as peers. Look at the Mike Brown situation with the Knicks right now. Guys are more collaborative and the relationship is more on an equal playing field. Very interesting. Larry Brown is definitely a dying breed of just head coaches that was used to being the lieutenant, the Phil Jacksons, the George Karls, Jerry Salone. It shows you the greatness of a coach like Greg Popovich for him to make that shift, or just how much organizational power he really has to kind of command the respect of today's generation of players.